Welcome to An Engineer's Life, Episode 15. Is Engineering Worth It? My name is Dave Roysum. Here we begin a reflective journey asking the big questions. We start by asking if engineering was worth it, and perhaps if engineering is still worth it. Note, however, that this is just one person's opinion. Your mileage may vary, as they say. In short, I would say yes. However, as with all things, there are pros and cons. Let me list a few here. To be truthful, engineering requires a fair bit of time and talents, perhaps more than some other fields of study. The time would include preparation beginning in high school by loading up on math and science courses. Then you are in for the big push, near continuous work for 4 to 5 years of college study, just for a bachelor's of science. A master's will add 2 more years, a PhD 2 to 4 more. So, when you are all done, you will be in your mid-20s to mid-30s. All this time, your peers may already have a job, a family, and a good start on a payment for a house and retirement. Worse yet, if you can't cut the math and physics for whatever reason, you will simply not make it. Here, it might sometimes be a matter of inclination. That is, you don't like math or you don't think you'll be good at math. However, I neither liked math nor was particularly good at it, but I soldiered on anyway. So take care not to give up too soon in your honest self-assessment. An honest try in tech courses in high school or the first year of college should be telling enough. No list would be complete without talking about money. We could talk here about schooling costs, including books, tuition, and housing. We could talk about opportunity costs, such as not getting paid while going to school when your non-college bound friends will already be taking wages for several years. However, this kind of analysis can be too detailed and, as a consequence, confusing. Rather, let us talk about something akin to payback period. More specifically, at what age will your total wages surpass those who don't go to college and you start to pull ahead? Note this analysis would be improved by using the time value of money, but let's not complicate things. In any case, the answer depends greatly on the circumstances, though we can generalize. In very round numbers, an engineer with a bachelor's might start pulling ahead of high schoolers as early as their early 30s, and they have the rest of their life to bank these higher wages. An MS requires a bit more time, so, not surprisingly, the payback begins a bit later. Those going for a PhD, especially if they start later in life, may find the payback coming quite late in their career. Thus, in most cases, you will get a monetary return on your engineering investment. Let me address 2 final critiques of engineering that you sometimes hear. The first is that engineering is a boring subject. Well, I wholeheartedly disagree, but that may be just my perception. I find science very interesting and would find accounting and economics boring, while others, I'm sure, might have a contrary view. Still, you do not want to have a good-paying job and be miserable for the 40-year span of most people's working life. Better be a starving but satisfied artist, as they say, than an unhappy accountant or engineer or manager. Second, there is a stereotype that engineers are mechanistic, wooden introverts. While I'm sure some engineers are, this is hardly the norm in my own experience. In fact, the best engineers have to be people persons. The reason is quite simple. To be effective, you must not only have a good idea, but you also must be able to sell that good idea to others. We will leave that for now, except to summarize that engineering can be very exciting, and you can interact with hundreds, or in my case as a consultant, thousands of people every year. Now we come to my favorite part, the advantages of being an engineer, and we will end with a conclusion. As we saw in the previous slide, the payback for engineering will not come until middle age. But if you survive into middle age or beyond, it is clearly a monetary win for that path. In fact, engineering has one of the highest paybacks of any career choice. Not only that, job security has been and will probably continue to be quite high. Yes, you might make more as a business owner, but the risks are very, very high. 80% of all small business startups fail, and when they do, the owners lose time and money. On the other hand, if your engineering employer goes out of business, you can, in most cases, find another nice job within weeks. The exception here is if you are laid off near the end of your engineering career, but that is true of most careers anyway. While lawyers and politicians and bankers and many others don't get quite a lot of public trust and respect, engineering is quite the opposite. Most people, I think, admire and even trust engineers, even if they don't always know what an engineer does. In any case, if you don't already know, engineering supports almost every aspect of our modern way of life. Without it, we would not have clean water and waste disposal, fast transportation, ultra-fast communications, affordable housing, cheap food, and much, much more. And that leads to my bottom line, and that is satisfaction. Very few engineers regret their life choice. Even in those few who later decide to change careers, such as into management, law, or some other field, find that engineering enabled or made those moves better. In short, engineering is a title and profession you can be proud of. In short, I would not have done it in any other way. Thank you so much for listening to An Engineer's Life. If you like what I'm doing, hit the like button and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode where we will talk about consulting.